Clear love on the Evelynn is something fantastic to watch, but it felt like fan service yesterday. Let's do some winning now, EDG.
Fan service is over, hopefully. That means the serious side is on, as we've been tricked a couple of times, Atlas. We get to Champion Select, and it's actually going to be Alex and Audi playing in this particular game. The lineup graphics lie.
The lineup graphics literally swapped.
I was told the cake was a lie. Now I find out the lineup graphics are a lie. There can only be one Shen. What's going on, Atlas?
That was the fastest "there can only be one Shen" that you've ever said. And you say it a lot. And you also say it very quickly.
I'm still sad.
So my, I'm always sad.
But there's no Korean team, so we can get back into the pick and ban with Audi in the lineup. Expected to be a lot more of a top lane focus. This feels like a red side special from EDG, because he wants to be playing the lane pressure champ, just like Smeb was donated in the previous game. Pick and bans have gone fast, but you notice a certain marksman has jumped up to first pick. First game where Caitlyn was not banned and predictably snapped up by JT.
Yeah, BB's going to be playing that one as well, and we've seen BB play Caitlyn for years and years and years and years. Papa Smithy?
And now on the side of EDG, where do they go? Because Rek'Sai is available and looking super powerful. I love Clearlove saying, all right, screw it, I'm going to go on the standard, don't get my Evelynn game. It's in the contract, it's gone now. And okay,
there's
now
the answer.
And this is something that happens a lot in China, is early pick hyper carries. But that's because the games can drag on. The macro doesn't always mean that you're suffocated and the Kog'Maw doesn't get to his items. So it's a risk from my expectation. This is where I become the biased analyst, because I see Kog'Maw early and I think, why? Why do we have the power? Against Caitlyn, you have range situationally on your W. When your W is down, you can't even really last hit. You end up getting heavily pressured. So we'll wait to see what the support is to allow the Kog'Maw to get through lane for Zet, who's largely been on the Ashe and the utility this season. As we keep going on, and talked about having to wait till last pick, maybe you just take Fiora in the first round, ban away a couple of tricky matchups, and then say, hey, how you feeling, morning?
Well, I mean, Audi is going to have the opportunity to do this. He does like to play those carry-style champions towards the top side of the map. EDG looking for at least a 1-4 style composition where Audi's on that island beating the crap out of Morning. We'll see whether he's going to be able to get himself a matchup that he likes by banning away what he doesn't want to face, and Renekton is certainly one of those.
I mean, you look at the champion pool from Morning so far this season. Jarvan, Kled are the two big picks that he's played. The Renekton's actually 0-2 on the season, but a good pick into the Fiora.
Yeah.
Where does he go? Because there's kind of two schools of thought. You look at the comp, you're like, okay, wave clear is great. Lee Sin can jump around and get picks. J-Team want to go a Samsung Galaxy and go for a very standard group with Caitlyn take turret strategy. Do you just take a losing matchup and try to teleport out of lane, admit that at 40 minutes you have no solution for the Fiora, or do you try to take something into Fiora when there's so few options to actually hold Fiora very well in lane? So it could just be something as crazy as going for a team fighter and kind of giving up on the top lane and trying to make the plays around the map.
Well, you can see the Corki's going to be the final ban here. We're seeing that one stick out like a sore thumb, but there are still power picks left in that mid lane as Scout is considering something like the Syndra. Karma is, of course, another fantastic option to pair with the Kog'Maw.
You take the Syndra and then you have the ultimate 3 lanes losing, or 3 lanes with low wave clear. The game can kind of fall apart if you take Syndra and don't get massively ahead. So they take Karma to say, well, we found wave clear. It's going to be from the mid lane. It's going to be a teleport Karma to just follow around.
Could theoretically still be in support because Mako has played it a lot.
It is a good point. I feel like they need the wave clear somewhere. Could just be to help the Kog'Maw push. So we'll hold our expectation for a moment, as there's certainly some synergy between Orianna and Jarvan if we do see this duo.
Is this the Winfrey comp that we coined? It's close to it. There's a lot of initiation from this J-Team squad.
It's certainly reliable initiation in team fighting phase, but not going to be happy times for the Jarvan against Fiora as the lane goes on.
Okay, so Braum is being considered by Jay. Braum Caitlyn has always been a pretty despicable matchup, but Thresh is available as well, and this one's also gross. So we'll see what the LMS is going to be able to do with this bottom lane duo.
And so what happened here, the reason why I was thinking Karma was going to be the mid lane pick is that if you go Kog'Maw against Caitlyn, you kind of need to, at minimum, counterpick support or have full information of the bot lane, because you can't just straight up lose in both roles and have no pressure. So it looks like they will just be taking the Karma into mid lane, parking the Braum bot lane to be the denial, the killjoy for the Thresh when he looks for the hook initiations. And they need Scout with teleport to overcome the fact that if LMS just say, screw champions, you know, I'm not going to play the attack-only champions button, I'm going to press the attack-only turrets button, then J-Team have a very straightforward win condition Whereas EDG, let's keep the game going long. Let's get Audi into top gear. Yeah, that's right, I said it. And try to get him on the split push mission, because Fiora can certainly warp games, and this one is ripe for the picking.
Yeah, and I certainly hope that you know your Audi models as well, Papa Smith, because we could have some fun this game describing which particular one he is actually going to be in. I personally only know the small one, so hopefully he doesn't do so well.
I was thinking of car speeds, and I started thinking of Mario Kart Grand Prix speeds. So no, I'm not a car guy.
It's like 150cc. Oh, this is going to be a big one. Fantastic. We have to start at 50 though, because the early game is not going to be great for Fiora, and we'll see whether he's going to be able to get through. Audi, of course, making his debut here with EDG in the international stage.
And it's a matchup we could see replayed tomorrow. We will move to the blind relay. We've already confirmed it will be LMS versus LPL. Definitely be some mind games here.
Yeah.
Taking the Kog'Maw early is the quintessential choice from the LPL. Also having Audi in the lineup meant that Fiora, the Camille, one of them was going to come true. They've put a lot of eggs in the Fiora basket. And let's see if Audi, this new top laner who's displacing Mouse, the old hand of EDG, can make it work. It's a very different scenario when you face EDG with Audi and EDG with Mouse.
Yeah, and this is like the new EDG flavor of composition as well. This is what they want to be bringing. It's very, very comfortable for them. However, you look on the side of J-Team, and it is just the super stock standard team fight composition that you want. It's the Wombo with the Cataclysm, with the Shockwave, and they only need to play it out. They can rely on the Caitlyn in the late game. Jay can get the picks to start things off, and we are onto the Rift. We'll see whether they can make it work. J-Team, everything is there. It's just whether it is going to come together against an EDG with comfort of their own.
And for the draft they have, everything there is there for EDG because, okay, we mentioned Karma needs to be in the right position to wave clear, but also they have Rek'Sai, so they do have the Tremor Sense to get that bit of map hacks, that bit of extra information to allow Audi to safely farm in top. They also have a reliable ganker to potentially snowball Audi in the top lane. So if you're going to play a 4-1 draft like EDG is looking for, maybe a 1-3-1 in the mid game with Karma just being annoying with her teleport, this is not a poor draft by any means by EDG, but it's just a new iteration, and we just don't have a big sample size with Audi. He's only played 4 games in the summer season.
Well, we're going to get a 5th right here, right now. There is absolutely no chance that we're not, because he's already on Summoner's Rift. And if that was a jinx, I apologize completely.
It's a Kog'Maw, actually.
If it was Deft still here, though, on EDG, that could have potentially been a jinx if you're going to go for long-range hyper carries.
And I feel like that's kind of been a feeling of a lot of fans who follow the LPL is if it was Deft. Because EDG, they've changed their identity sometimes, but with Mouse, you kind of look at the AD carry role and you kind of think, oh, if it was Deft, this is how we would have played. Mouse is doing his role play on the top. He's got good teleports. The AD carry will carry us. But it's Zed, and Zed is not Deft. Zed is not a hard carry player by trade. I think that's why Audi kind of gives them a new identity, because it's not Mouse. It is someone who's like, give me the Fiora, give me the Camille, give me the lane-focused champions, and it gives us a new identity for EDG than kind of playing homage to EDG of the previous 2 years. So that's why I'm excited to see them keep messing around with Audi. Is he better than Mouse for the team right now? I would say no. But by the time we get to 10, 15, 20 games in his professional career, maybe they will at least have options in a best of 5 or even a best of 3, like, for example, SKT do with Untara and Blank, to vary their style, because just playing around Zet and EDG, previously especially, that AD carry focused team, I don't think works as well as play around Deft.
Well, we'll see whether playing around Zet this game can work, because on the Kog'Maw, he certainly will be a massive proponent, especially as the game goes on. Jay now actually scooting around here. He's going to go over a ward. Is Clearlove going to just take a moment, wait for him, and he's going to be taken down. Already has that level 3 and is now looking for that blue buff. So EDG just clearing out farm just nicely. Alex moving around his jungle will be able to lock down his red buff and just going for that full clear as quickly as possible, apart from taking those Raptors.
So there's a point I didn't get to in game 1. Should be able to get to it here, even with the focus resolve coming through from Scout. We talked a little bit about previous seasons. It was Rek'Sai skip the blue, give the blue to mid lane. Blue. Yeah. That was kind of an expectation. Then we had Lee Sin versus Rek'Sai, and both mid laners would get blue. So that was kind of where the meta evolved, was junglers who didn't have to take first blue would delay it, have an offset timer, maybe invade the enemy jungler's blue at 7.5 minutes if they were a blue start jungler. There was a lot of game plans around that. This season, it feels like getting experience onto your jungler, the ability to skirmish with the jungler, even Rek'Sai, a champion that derives nothing from blue buff, you still need to make it happen because getting levels on the jungler and the skirmishes and the snowball of standard lanes, because it's the standard lane meta, every bit of experience matters. Every power spike is mapped to the point where you need to know exactly how much damage you can do and take it every moment. And giving away a blue buff on a jungler with all the teleports coming through, with all the roams, the jungler's a level behind. That might decide the whole game from a standard lane meta. So no longer can you freely give away blue buff because it's just one passage too much when it comes to surrendering advantages as a jungler.
Yep. Well, we'll see what does happen. You did see Clearlove completely spotted out on the top side of the map. Fantastic vision being gained by J-Team early on. He backed on a ward and then moved back to a ward. Precisely not what you want. There's now Scout moving around. Mantra Q now on cooldown.
Alex going for the lane gank, so will not be spotted. They have a pretty good idea that Rek'Sai's not top lane. They can be lock up here. They can take down Audi if he...
Oh, no
Morning's waiting for him to expose him up. There it is!
There's the knock-up. First blood's all too easy from Alex as Morning flashes out of the way. Clearlove under the ground wants the knock-up. Teleport comes in from Scout, but it's way too late. He's just going to safeguard his way out. All too easy from J-Team.
And J-Team win even more than the first blood because the teleport's completed by Scout to get no result as Orianna gets a preferential back as well. Sun may come through in the bot lane. Very nice lane gank, and I loved that Morning was waiting, just waiting. He had the Lee Sin in the jungle, but he was saying, get away from your minion line. Open yourself up, and then I'll initiate. Perfectly executed. The riposte was not enough, and great first blood from the side of J-Team. You look at this, and you think, when could Morning have gone in? Could have gone in here. Was half a second away from minion lane, but he saw the minion lane crashing. He's like, okay, I'm going to wait for that as well. Finally chooses the right spot. And after the follow flash, Clearlove, you're Rek'Sai, you're not going to get anything done. Cancel the teleport. No cancel the teleport. May have had to complete it, otherwise they could have turned onto Clearlove and killed him potentially in that scenario. So lose-lose for the mid laner who wastes his teleport. When he starts getting back to lane now, has a chalice, still gets an item spike on the back, but not an ideal passage of play for EDG.
It's not what they wanted. Thankfully, they were able to at least bounce the wave off the turret. Morning did lose a lot there, but Audi is going to lose a whole lot more as it was the Jarvan making his way back up there a little bit sooner. 10 CS is going to be the damage to EDG's top lane farm. And Morning has the Ninja Tabi as well. I mean, there's a couple of swords and a shield picked up by Audi, but doesn't even have enough arms for that.
I'm wincing a little bit, Atlas, as the first buy for Kog'Maw is actually Ninja Tabi of his own.
Boy.
That's painful.
That feels a little bit like a Jhin third buy.
Well, it does. I mean, it's kind of like a sidestep.
Yeah.
A sidestep hook, you have the more movement speed, and a respect Caitlyn. You do have good base damage on your W, but usually it'll just be lifesteal to be able to get through this situation. So very, very respectful, but another one of those timer interactions where it's a Zet-focused comp. He's not on a utility champ that allows Mako to start roaming around the map and make plays, because unlocking Mako in a Thresh Braum meta is an approach that EDG's taken a lot. It's a hard carry comp from Zet, so him having to enter lane and his support kind of having to stay anchored to his side and delaying his item build means that I guess EDG wants to play a really long laning phase, which, given they have Fiora Kog'Maw, I think was kind of a transparent point.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem, but still very early days. It's only 1,000 gold the lead here for J-Team. They've got a BF sword on BB. BB and G having a pretty great time there towards the bottom side of the map, but the farm not too different. EDG can probably breathe a relative sigh of relief, and the late game is something that they're going to be pretty comfortable moving towards anyway. I've spoken about, but you can see Clearlove clearing out his jungle.
I just appreciate that I hadn't seen the new Caitlyn skin with English and hearing her. Because now every time she headshots, it's things like Premium Blast, which I just heard. So that's going to be very different to our Korean client.
Yeah, I hadn't even noticed. I'm used to just phasing it out because I don't understand what they're saying yet.
You'll notice it in later Caitlyn versions of this game. Clearlove's top lane, top side.
Yep, Audi's going to get stabbed. Not what you want. Clearlove, yeah, just hanging around. Knows that there's no Lee Sin as the Tremor Sense has not gone off. So he's waiting in the mid lane.
One of the reasons Jarvan's fallen off as a pick in Korea is that your whole laning phase is poking with Q, and the moment the enemy sees Q, if you don't have double control ward down, the jungle's there, you're dead. You have no other option. You don't have the ability to EQ away, so it's kind of a binary game plan, and initiation isn't at such a premium in Korea as it is in other regions. So good to see that Morning's top lane sense is working. He was just very happy to Q, and then saw a minion wave. Was like, I just can't go there. I don't have the information. Clearlove's time ends up being wasted.
And Control Wall goes down immediately by morning. He gets out of the way of Clearlove and also will spot out whether the stolen blue buff on the bottom side of the map is going to be answered by Clearlove's Rek'Sai, but I believe they just don't even know that it was taken.
And the cool fact is, they got both blue buff vision. They got control on their own blue buff. They have wards around the enemy. Like you say, they're already stolen away a blue buff. This spot's in vision. Fofo and Alex are spotted taking an Ocean Drake. But when you have Caitlyn pushing lane, when you have pressure lane from Jarvan, and Orianna getting the extra time to get the preferential back timing means she's in great stead as well. The Drake should be free for the Caitlyn comp. The turret play should start to be free when the teleport comes back from morning. The reason why people don't give away Caitlyn is if you draft comps like this, there's no ambiguity. You know exactly, every team in the world knows how to play a Caitlyn comp because you just keep ticking boxes. You're like, well, now I've got lane control, time to take some Drakes, let's push up some vision. We got the pushing lane, we got the Caitlyn. Then teleport players can come if you have a top lane carry. It's a very simple game plan with the Caitlyn, and that's why Caitlyn needs some more tweaks if we're going to see less of her as mid lane.
Yep, bit of a slam dunk there. As that's going to be the shockwave. Yeah, Scout has nowhere to go. Just one more auto is going to do it. It's Morning that picks it up as Audi's now looking for a grand challenge, goes down. But 1 versus 3, that's not what he wants. Riposte, not enough. Double kill comes in, and this is an absolute disaster. You can hear the crowd going ballistic.
And it's just as Rift Herald spawns as well. Like you say, the local crowd is so happy to see their team play smartly. They made good moves in the early game against the side of Samsung before it got pulled so comically long that, surprise, surprise, they couldn't quite translate it. It's the return to LMS J team for the side on the blue side, and they're playing smartly. They take the Rift Herald off spawn. Audi, given a big assignment, come in at an international tournament. We're not going to run mouse. We're going to try and look to the future by giving ourselves options with a top lane carry player. Kind of makes the solo queue mistake of thinking he can see a kill and an outplay that didn't exist. We start the replay, and the big takeaway point, no flash. And okay, does require a follow flash to get the final kill. But Audi completes the teleport. That's 2 completed teleports in the same game from EDG that could have been cancelled and potentially derive more benefit. The minion line could have been starting to be pushed by the Fiora. The what-ifs are real. We're talking about the Zet and Deft what-ifs, but this has just been decision-making what-ifs that have just caused J-Team to have an 1,800 gold lead in a match where EDG had to be fancied as the favorite.
And this is ridiculous. Fofo has a 2-level advantage somehow as well over Scout.
I mean, there's no somehow, right? He left lane earlier.
Yeah,
He's been able to get the kill in the mid lane, even without getting kill credit. You're right. It's probably going to be just about a level, but even a level in mid lane, the comically short mid lane that's always ultra safety first, is something to write home about.
Just crazy. Okay, EDG parking themselves, actually reading quite nicely what J-Team want to do as the ward is going to be wandered over. J-Team have all the time in the world to wander out of this. Ward goes down, but see whether this control ward is contested. No, it's not. Man advantage going to go in favor of EDG, but they have to sacrifice their bottom lane. Gives a free back over to BB, who has himself his Berserker's Greaves, a couple of extra daggers, and we'll be able to take down these turrets very, very quickly. It's the old, let's build attack damage and attack speed and hit structures, play PvE League of Legends, and Caitlyn just does it so incredibly well. We saw Tristana trying to do it, and the reason she is because Caitlyn has been permabanned.
And the old playbook may be the reason why EDG also were like, okay, what does this team do? They get a big lead, and then they throw it. That's kind of, sadly, the summation for most people when they watch J-Team VODs, when they think about J-Team. Warning, has his EQ off cooldown, so he'll get away. If that's the playbook, hey, let's outscale, because they're not going to be able to close the game. And that's on J-Team to show that they can play a comp that has so much innate power that we've already said is pretty straightforward. So far, no mistakes. So far, it's been pretty flawless stuff. But they made those mistakes against Samsung. They make them rinse and repeat in the LMS. Making them on the international stage should be easy, should be more likely if you think of it with the extra pressure behind them. But with the home crowd and with kind of a bit of time to show themselves in a different scenario, only ever played internationally and I am Gyeonggi under the name J-Team. With this lineup with Alex so far, it's been pretty damn clean.
Yep, looks brilliant. Able to grab that first brick towards the bottom side of the map with the Rift Herald, as you saw. And now it is going to be Morning wandering around, complete vision of where Clearlove is. And complete vision is something that we need to talk about at the same time, because J-Team, it's not that they've been making the right moves by chance. It's because they've been making the right moves, knowing exactly where Clearlove is through a lot of this time, having the lanes pushed up and understanding what EDG are trying to do.
And BB, you look at his laning stats, this guy has been around forever. He is a veteran, the Season 2 World Champion, the only one on this J-Team roster that's still there under the TPA banner. His laning stats this season are pretty abysmal. He is actually 9th or 10th, I believe, in most laning stats in the LMS, which lets you know that it's certainly not something that you'd think would hold up on the world stage. But guess what? You get Caitlyn, and every matchup gets pretty straightforward. He's actually behind in CS to a Kog'Maw that went Ninja Tabi, which isn't a big indictment, but he's just pushing lane. He's got a very simple job. He's not under pressure to kill the Kog'Maw. He's under pressure to kill the turrets the Kog'Maw is adjacent to. And it does paper over weaknesses that might otherwise be exposed by a different duo.
Well, Alex is moving things up. They're just going to get their ward line inside the jungle, wanting to take down a few more of these outer ring turrets. Mid lane outer would be something nice, but 2 blue buffs in a row would also be pretty lovely. Clearlove's going to wander his way over. They do know that this is going down, but Preyseeker a little bit late, and that was a optimistic option for a steal anyway.
It's tough to jungle against this team because basically it's Clearlove getting a front row seat to objectives he can't have. He can't have his blue buff. He can't really stop turrets from going down. This game can change in an instant. While we are getting that creeping feeling, J-Team made that over-aggressive inner turret dive against Samsung. They could repeat that and lose some of the momentum. The items could come through to EDG, but EDG are waiting for mistakes and they're not making them here, J-Team.
No, it's going to be Clearlove, in fact, that gets caught out with a shockwave. Large amount of damage down onto the Rek'Sai. She eats up all of that Fury buff. Is still going to have to go home. Just doesn't have the health bar to try and gank anything or get anything done.
2 levels between the mid laners as well.
Oh my goodness. Fofo has been farming out like a beast as well. 172 at 15 minutes is nothing to scoff at all. Head of the clock like you wouldn't believe. Even with the clock is BB as well.
Kingdom for an Infernal or a Mountain, but 2 Oceans also means they can continue to overextend, take treads, disengage, put down a control ward, and get a bit of regen. So if you're going to have 2, definitely have them be your first 2 at 15 minutes when regen is still something relevant. Walk up here.
Yep, BB's going to miss all of his buttons, but it's okay. Yeah, there's the kickback. Scout's in trouble. He's going to use the flash. The knockup's there. Fofo's going to grab it with a dissonance and tank up the turret the entire time. Is Alex. So this outer turret will fall towards the top side of the map. You've still got the push coming in from J-Team, and EDG have none of the answers. It's now 4-0, and it's looking like this could even... It's like, I don't want to say perfect game, but we've been seeing it a whole lot more, especially in the LCK, but they're on track at 16 minutes to try and get that one done.
J-Team do have a script of perfect 10 minutes, perfect 15 minutes. They're making the perfect move again, though.
Yeah, there's the flash from Morning. The Cataclysm comes in, but everyone flashes out of the way of the damage of the shockwave. The hook is going to be avoided as BB. He's the one tanking the turret. Jay, he's able to pick up that kill, and no one is going to fall down. A Cathian surprise is going to go off on no one, and now the last turret is going to fall. So despite it only being 1 pick when it could have been more, they got so many flashes, and they've got the full outer ring of turrets, and now the pressure is going to be ridiculous coming out of J-Team, who can just move up that ward line.
And they may be 1 game, 1 loss, but J-Team are asserting themselves well. Fofo was the only one who did not die in that first series, but had a fantastic series of his own. He still comically is 2 levels ahead 17 minutes in after the followed teleport coming through from Scout. We keep asking about experienced Quince on junglers. Feels like Fofo's running XP Quince. I know he's not, but I bet it feels like he is with how far ahead he is. They take the mid lane turret. They can happily jump top lane because they still had their ultimates after getting the turret dive and the mid lane turret. Nowhere for Zet to go. I wondered if they'd gone too far on the top side, but there was no one else in position. They just chunk out Clearlove and take another objective. And will it be a perfect game? That's a bridge too far as a prediction, but it's a perfect 17.5 minutes in every sense by J-Team.
And they're setting it up so incredibly well if the perfect game was an option. It's not like they have one of these early game compositions, as there's the kickback, actually kick into play, the setup onto Mako. Thankfully, Unbreakable exists, and the Braum is pretty difficult to kill, but he's still taking poke damage off to the side, and we said they were going to move up that vision line. Now, this top side of the map is going to be covered in blue vision, and that Baron is going to be up in 2 minutes.
And it's just such a headache because Orianna, Caitlyn start auto-attacking a turret. Where's Thresh? Where's Lee Sin? Where's everyone else that's not always going to be present? And even clearing waves for a Karma gets hard. And Audi, will he do the Jax thing of saying, well, no perfect game, I got out of turret, haha. It's kind of all he can really hope for. He's got no teleport. He's going to stay bot lane because no one's going to stop them clearing the inner turret.
And that felt like this was a J-Team with a Baron. That inner turret. That felt so free from this team, and now this map is going to be all the more wide. as they're free to move between top and bottom.
What you going to do, Zet? You know, there's not really nothing he can do.
Void Ooze.
He's going to walk up and a couple of skill shots missed means something happens is Audi will not have this be a perfect game.
Ooh, not this time. Use the teleport, save the perfect game. Morning. He's going to back, but he's not going to make it towards that bottom side nearly quickly enough. He's 2-0-3 though, so that 1v1. Still something that the Jarvan could feel comfortable with.
Tag Shiv crit. There's a lot of damage to Zed as Infinity Edge seems to be on the delay for double Zeal item, and yep, perfect game is abandoned, but I don't think the side of J-Team cares, Atlas. It'd be lovely to have an extra talking point, but a victory over EDG, a rampaging EDG, who are 4-1 in match score in China with the Clear Love lineup in terms of starting Clear Love came in on the first series and lost, but 4-1 subsequent to that is as far on the back foot as possible, and Clear Love took the Rex side, looked like they were going for early power, and then they made this read that, hey, J-Team will throw at some point. Maybe that'll happen, but Audi, he hasn't been able to get going yet. Zet, he is still only just at a single item, where Bebe is so close to multiple other completions, and it's not like Caitlyn is going to be a slouch with accelerated 3 items very soon. J-Teams continue to push up, and EDG are hoping and praying for a catastrophic mistake from J-Team.
Yep, they've got 6,000 gold as far as leeway for that mistake. And we know that as soon as you have a lead, the mistakes have to be bigger. The blunders have to be more complete. And right now, so far, J-Team have been playing this map exactly the way they want to. They have given up some vision around this Baron area, but won't take long before J-Team take that one over one more time.
Was a litany of Barons in that series against Samsung, so
oh yes,
Baron setup here will be something we can scrutinize. Jay's going in, finds Braum at least.
It was a bit of a ships in the night moment there as everyone sort of just passes by one another and Clear Love. Oh, Tremor Sense is going to spot out Alex. He's deep behind enemy lines. Everyone on EDG paying close attention as Audi's still pushing down the bottom side of the map.
Doesn't have an item lead, but has almost item parity with Morning and the same level. So this is the part where Jarvan starts saying, hey guys, I'd like to teleport out. Don't really want to deal with this. He starts to walk up. That's questionable.
Yeah, he's going to be able to put his side against this wall as the Cataclysm. He's going to be able to utilize that one as well. In comes Fofo, all too easily able to take that one down. Beautifully baited there from Morning there as well. And Audi didn't have an opportunity to even use his flash to escape.
Yeah, out of context, looked questionable, but we did have the reinforcements coming through, and
this is why it's more fun not to look at the minimap.
It's true. I was also living in denial. I feel like that's the equivalent of not watching the LCK and being an optimist. But regardless, very smart play, the right level of bait, like you say. They continue to push, and guess what? It's really easy to make plays like that, and you feel really bad as Audi because you ask your team what could they be doing, and with how the game's going, very little, Atlas, is that's a deep teleport.
That is a very deep teleport as BB, cute little net, gets him back onto the Dark Passage. They've got all of this vision, know exactly what EDG is doing. They're like, why the hell is the Karma there? And EDG probably asking the same question as well. There's no way for them to get in, try and get any sort of kill. That only thing that EDG can hang their hat on is a dead turret on the bottom side of the map. And J-Team just don't care. They're moving towards this Baron, clearing out vision for now.
Caitlyn wants to back, has a bit item spike, I imagine, but yep, they finally do have to be moved. And you could say, Atlas, and this is kind of a crazy thing, but this is the first time their hand has been forced in 22 minutes. This is a deep teleport from Morning. He's not spotted yet. He's in vision in a second, though. There he is. Okay, they see him.
Yeah, not a lot of flashes on cooldown, so that Cataclysm should be able to be maneuvered out of. Traps are going to go down, and J-Team do get rid of a few players.
And we talked about taking breaths in early series. They took a breath there. They realized they could have Cataclysm into 4, but they were like, wait, where's Orianna? Fofo was nowhere near. Lantern went out. They pulled away. J-Team, on another day, and especially in a LMS game, could have thrown the game there. They pull back. They will not go for it. They're looking for a Baron. Tremor Sense will spot them. Clear Love, though, already has to go out. Do they respect that with Lee Sin not in the pit? They're just two-manning Baron.
Yeah, and they're just going to hold on to 3 people out here. Shockwave was held onto by Fofo.
Back is being channeled. When do they go through? They don't have any blue trinkets available. This is expert stuff from J-Team. They're playing this game smartly.
Yeah, Alex is in the pit. That is going to be the smite, and that is Baron just taken down surgically by the J-Team. The hook lands to make sure that nothing is going to follow up. And so far, this has almost been perfect play from the get-go here from J-Team. There's been no way in for EDG with this composition.
It feels like someone walked to J-Team this morning, gave them the cliff notes of how to play clean League of Legends, and just said, just read this, you'll understand. They didn't need too much help. Their early game was already good. But so far, the extra steps they're taking are giving them so much more advantage. They're looking so clean. It's not going to be a perfect game, but we keep having to caveat that fact just to say that otherwise J-Team have done everything correctly. That Baron, like you say, surgical. Big compliment to J-Team, who have made their mistakes around that pit. They continue to move forward, and Zet, he's at 2 items. We're pretty close to 3-item Caitlyn. We're only about 1,300 gold away from that being a monster on the other side as well.
Yeah, and he's got his Energizer items anyway. I mean, he's more than happy just to electrically shock people from a long way away, clear out all these minion waves, have a massive amount of crit for when that Infinity Edge does come in as well.
You know what this build does well?
What?
It complements what they've been doing. We don't really need to kill champions. Let's kill some turrets. Let's kill some minions.
Speaking of which,
last inner turret.
Taken down all too easily. Peacemaker as well is going to help take down the minion wave. Has the static Shiv procs aplenty. And despite the fact that Scout can now buff up Zet, the fact that Audi does almost have his 2 items, it just doesn't matter. You can see Jay just waiting with the Dark Passage. Everything's going to be fine. Fofo and Morning should be able to take down this turret as there's the knockup. Oh my god, Audi just explodes, but Fofo looking for it, flashes out of the Cataclysm. He's still alive, stays alive as well. Clearlove eventually picks up that kill, but that is the 1-for-1 going down. I thought that Fofo may survive this. BB wasn't even in the fight as he's just taking down inhibitor turrets. He doesn't even want to shoot a champion. I want to see his damage champions. Might be close to 0. Who knows? But he's been doing his job perfectly.
It's a 1-for-1. They're trying to actually just ferry up minions to clean out one of these low health turrets. The melee range champions aren't going to do it. J-Team, they feel like they're going to walk up and take this, but have they walked up too far?
Yeah, BBS actually going to be forced to flash his way out there. You mentioned, I mean, this is the jitters slightly coming in, Papa Smithy. Could be an opportunity now for EDG to potentially capitalize on some over-aggressive play, but again, the play-by-play optimism often comes in at this stage of a game where it's close to a 10,000 gold lead. We're going to see this again. Fofo lasts way too long.
Yeah, it felt like J-Team were baited to try and finish the turret, and only the fact that Fofo lives long enough specifically to ult stops it from being an actual whitewash for EDG. This was the moment where getting some chip damage, backing away, and then, you know, once again, following that checklist of playing smart League of Legends was what they wanted to do. Bebe walking up in mid lane, also unnecessary. What EDG can say is that now you're fighting around hard terrain. Taking and breaking the base is one of the hardest things to do without a buff to really force it. And that meant that with the terrain advantage, EDG do get some picks. They're looking on to Clearlove.
Yep, Morning is... Oh, okay.
That's not how that works. Sorry, Morning.
Yeah, if you go underneath the Cataclysm, I guess that thematically makes sense, but that looked very odd. Audie's going to turn up. Does he know that Morning has a BF sword on top of his first 2 items? It's a scary Jarvan. He's going to run himself away.
He's luring Audi top lane. Does that give time in the mid lane? Okay, here we go. The chase has started.
Yep, inhibitor turret is going to go down. Morning's actually looking to try and escape this one. Lunge is going to get Audi over the side, but he cannot follow again as the Blast Cone is going to be utilized, and the inhibitor is going to be another prize potentially as Mako throws down the Glacial Fissure, but that's more of a party one. Fantastic movement from both of the players from J-Team, and the trust that this team has for Jay on this Thresh is immaculate.
The only 3rd game of the season, 1-on-1 previously, was in the right spot to bait out the Glacial Fissure. 1 inhibitor goes down. Audi can try to group, but doesn't even have the grand challenge. Flash force out of Zet.
Yeah, very quick flash, and that is going to be 2 inhibitors very, very quickly, and EDG still have 5 members alive, but it feels like they have less players on the map than J-Team, just given how much pressure they're able to exert. And now with 2 lanes of super creeps, you've got a Baron coming up in, what, about 3 minutes, something like that, 3 or 4. They don't have to rush this. They don't want to, but it looks like they are still going to siege down this turret. Let these super creeps keep the pressure on and not let EDG stall this one out at all.
Yeah, they just want to break the base in all 3 spots, even before the second Baron spawns. And what's the reaction from EDG? They don't have Glacial Fissure. They don't have a Audi in the backline yet, and teleport plays on Fiora are always questionable at best. Alex goaltending on the side, allowing Caitlyn to push up. There's the trap line. Only the first shot on the turret. This may actually end up taking longer. But if it ends up in a fight, Fofo, he's level 16, still 2 levels. Amazing to be 2 levels consistently ahead from as early as Fofo has been. It's 3 items on BB. They're ready to go.
I wouldn't be surprised if Fofo somehow made it to level 20. Like, I just feel like he's just programmed to be 2 levels ahead. However, he's going to continue putting traps down, is J-Team, and they can do this forever. They've got the super creeps heading forward. There is no reason to force anything.
It's been a 2-level lead. It's been 2 levels ahead, but it's been 2 steps ahead in game plan from J-Team that has really put them in this commanding spot. You don't have a go button on Fiora. You're not in a 1v1 anymore. You're watching as the super minions are pushing in. You see the trap line there that EDG cannot cross. Zet still behind in items. Feels like ever since the Ninja Tabi purchase came in, as they started losing elsewhere, that was the problem. Don't pull the trigger on the Shockwave yet. They still have to respect that cooldown. They want to break that 3rd inhibitor turret, and they're about to do it.
And this Yo-Yo potential engage opportunity that this J-Team are using is fantastic. As Clearlove, he's going to get flayed back, kicked back, and booted into oblivion now.
Bye.
Ace in the hole comes in. BB's going to lock down the kill, and that should be the opportunity to take down this inhibitor turret. It's already so close to dead. Fortification or no, they've got enough shields, they've got enough damage, and they've got enough super creeps smacking down these Nexus turrets on their own.
We're so close to the roar from the Kaohsiung home crowd. J-Team looking to pull it off, looking to actually make it a photo finish between who will be 2nd seed between the LMS and the LPL, bringing up this final minion wave. EDG, they kept waiting for the cataclysmic mistake. It's never come.
Well, first Nexus turret falls down, and EDG, they're going for the final fight for Zet. He's already dead. BB's going to jump in. Fantastic Shockwave as BB's just kept alive, and J-Team look exceptional right here. The Nexus is going to now fall. It's the focus. 15,000 gold the lead, and J-Team did not stop playing perfect League of Legends that entire game. That was stunning.